If you live life each day as if it were your last, one day you will most certainly be right. These are the words of Steve Jobs, a man who literally revolutionized technology and creativity, yet remained so deeply aware of life's impermanence. So in this episode, we will explore the third and final story from his famous Stanford commencement speech of 2005, the story about death. It's a powerful reminder that our time is very limited and that we should live with intention. We are going to go ahead and break it down, reflect on its meaning, and then hear the man himself share his wisdom in a clip as always. So, welcome to this episode of the 5 to 9 Job Podcast. Steve Jobs said that every morning he looked into the mirror and asked himself, if today were the last day of his life, would he be happy doing what he was about to do? If today were the last day of your life, of my life, would I be happy? Would you be happy doing what you are about to do? That was a simple question. And he goes ahead to say that if the answer was no too many days in a row, he knew he had to change something, because that would literally indicate to him that, you know what, you are going down the wrong direction. He called this his greatest tool for making big decisions, because when you truly understand that your time is limited, fear, pride, and external expectations lose their power over you. The distractions, the noise, the opinions of others, all of it fades away in the face of death, leaving only what truly matters. And then in the talk, he goes ahead to tell a really personal story, his battle with cancer. He tells about how one morning he was diagnosed and told to get his affairs in order that he wouldn't last a few months. He had to meditate on that and wonder the whole day with that, the weight, that the reality that was setting in, that he had to say bye to his kids. But then later in the evening, after another examination, the doctors discovered that it was a rare curable form of cancer, that he could have surgery and he could be okay, and he survived that. But the experience changed his perspective on life, and he says it adds to the urgency that you should only do the things that fulfill your purpose. Jobs reminds us that no one wants to die, but death is a destination we all share. It's coming for us. And he has this way of talking about it as not being a bad thing, because he refers to it as life's greatest invention, of how it clears the old and makes way for the new. And he adds to that by saying, right now, we are the new. Our time is now, but it is limited, so we must not waste it. In other words, living someone else's life. Do not be trapped by dogma. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. Have the courage to follow your heart and intuition, because deep down, they already know what you truly want to become. So without further ado, let's listen to Steve Jobs himself, and then I'll be back later to complete the episode.
My third story is about death. When I was 17, I read a quote that went something like, "If you live each day as if it was your last, someday you'll most certainly be right." It made an impression on me, and since then, for the past 33 years, I've looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. Because almost everything, all external expectations, all pride, all fear of embarrassment or failure, these things just fall away in the face of death, leaving only what is truly important. Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. I had a scan at 7:30 in the morning, and it clearly showed a tumor on my pancreas. I didn't even know what a pancreas was. The doctors told me this was almost certainly a type of cancer that is incurable, and that I should expect to live no longer than 3 to 6 months. My doctor advised me to go home and get my affairs in order, which is doctor's code for prepare to die. It means to try and tell your kids everything you thought you'd have the next 10 years to tell them in just a few months. It means to make sure everything is buttoned up so that it will be as easy as possible for your family. It means to say your goodbyes. I lived with that diagnosis all day. Later that evening, I had a biopsy where they stuck an endoscope down my throat, through my stomach and into my intestines, put a needle into my pancreas and got a few cells from the tumor. I was sedated, but my wife, who was there, told me that when they viewed the cells under a microscope, the doctors started crying because it turned out to be a very rare form of pancreatic cancer that is curable with surgery. I had the surgery, and thankfully, I'm fine now. This was the closest I've been to facing death, and I hope it's the closest I get for a few more decades. Having lived through it, I can now say this to you with a bit more certainty than when death was a useful but purely intellectual concept. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet, death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's life's change agent. It clears out the old to make way for the new. Right now, the new is you. But someday, not too long from now, you will gradually become the old and be cleared away. Sorry to be so dramatic, but it's quite true. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of others' opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. When I was young, there was an amazing publication called the Whole Earth Catalog, which was one of the Bibles of my generation. It was created by a fellow named Stuart Brand, not far from here in Menlo Park, and he brought it to life with his poetic touch. This was in the late 60s, before personal computers and desktop publishing, so it was all made with typewriters, scissors, and Polaroid cameras. It was sort of like Google in paperback form 35 years before Google came along. It was idealistic, overflowing with neat tools and great notions. Stuart and his team put out several issues of the Whole Earth Catalog, and then, when it had run its course, they put out a final issue. It was the mid-1970s, and I was your age. On the back cover of their final issue was a photograph of an early morning country road, the kind you might find yourself hitchhiking on if you were so adventurous. Beneath it were the words, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." It was their farewell message as they signed off. Stay hungry, stay foolish. And I have always wished that for myself. And now, as you graduate to begin anew, I wish that for you. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
I hope you listened well and listened true. Life is fleeting. And if today were your last day, would you be happy with the choices you have made? If not, maybe it's time to make a change, because at the end of the day, all that truly matters is whether you lived fully, you loved deeply, you did the work that mattered to you, and you feel that you have left an impact in people's lives when you are gone. So if this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it, and Do not forget to tune in next time as we continue exploring more stories that inspire us to live our lives with purpose. Until next time, my name is Raymond from the 5 to 9 Job podcast. I'll see you in the next episode. Make every day count.